All right, guys, so welcome to step 4 in our videos with Get Your Life Together Financially. So if you've watched the first 3 videos, at this point, you should now have 2 lists. A list that basically has all of the things that you want, and then a list of all of the things that you need. The things that you need are necessities. Those are things that you need to have for survival. So housing, utilities, clothing, water, things like that. Now, on the other side, you have your wants. And if you did this correctly, things that are on your want list are things that you should be able to improve in regards to what you're doing with them. So like we talked about clothes. Yes, clothes are a necessity, but you don't have to have designer clothes. Maybe you're someone that buys purses all the time or buys shoes all the time. And if you're that person, you probably have a closet full of shoes, purses, things that you probably haven't used in the past year. Those were things that you wanted. Yes, you need shoes, but you don't need, certain types of shoes. So that's what creating the want list is for. Now, if you're one of those people that I just said that has a ton of purses, a ton of shoes in your closet, hopefully one of the things that you've thought about doing is putting those for sale up on places like Poshmark. There are many different types of clothing sites that you can do. You could do it on eBay, but Poshmark is a really good one, especially for clothes. You have people making thousands of dollars by selling things that they no longer want. And why shouldn't you reap some money on something that you're no longer going to use, but you did pay a nice amount for it when you bought it? All right, so on my list that I've created, these are 6 different items that you can do with that extra money that you found. First and foremost, you need an emergency fund. I created a video on that, but emergency fund is something that you use money for when an emergency comes up. You could get sick, you could have a flat tire, there's all types of things. Your refrigerator could go out. You never know. You can't plan for an emergency besides the fact of actually having an emergency fund. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, once you've established that emergency fund, you now need to start paying off your debt. So if you have credit card debt, car loan debt, different things like that, this can be an extra amount you put on those particular payments. So that's number 2. The next thing is getting a high yield savings account. And I want you to kind of go down the list, in this order. I don't want you to get a high yield savings account if you haven't created your emergency fund. Your emergency fund should be in a high yield savings account, but this extra money that you found, I want you to kind of go down the list to do these in order. So high yield savings account, I talked about that on another video also. Check out that video. But basically, a high yield savings account is similar to any other savings account that you may get at a big box bank, but you get a higher interest on it. I think I'm with Ally as far as a high yield savings account, and I'm getting 2.10% interest on that versus like a 0.0009 or something at one of the other banks. You basically are getting more money while your money is just sitting in an account doing nothing. Why not earn some extra money on it? The next thing I have is, if you have children, you want to get a college fund, a 529 account, any type of account, and it's different for different states. But if you want your child to go to college, this is money that you can start putting into that account. And it doesn't have to be a lot. You may put in $25 a month, $50 a month, whatever it is, whatever you can save up. This is still an amount that will grow over time, and it grows with the different stocks that's within that account. So that's one thing that you can do. The next thing I have is retirement accounts. If you don't have a Roth IRA or 401k with your company, you can still get these through other type of institutions. Fidelity has things like that. Different banks have Roth IRAs, Merrill Lynch, places like that. You want to start saving for your retirement, because there are many people that they're close to retirement age and they've never invested anything in an account like that. So this is something that you can start with that extra money. And then the final thing is a brokerage account. Maybe you don't want to do a specific retirement account, And you are locked in with certain types of things that you can do with a Roth IRA or a 401k, especially with your company. If you're with a company and you have a 401k, there's only certain things that you can invest in. If you go into a Roth IRA, you can invest more items, but it just depends on where you actually have that at. The final thing is the brokerage account. A brokerage account is an account you can invest in any types of items. So stocks, mutual funds, ETFs, all of that you can do. And I would say though, once you get into an account like that, it is more risky if you're going into things like stocks, if you're not familiar with the market. Something that is a lot safer, still a risk, are ETFs. And I would say follow something like the S&P 500 ETF, which is basically an ETF that tracks and tries to duplicate what happens with the S&P 500. And with the S&P 500, it's basically 500 companies that are within one account. And when you get an ETF, S&P 500, it tries to mimic that. And the best thing about that is the return on the investment. Usually on ETFs, depending on which one it is, like the SPY, they have been averaging 8 to 10% on the returns, and that is excellent. It's even higher, of course, than the high yield savings account. But those are things that you can do. The main thing I want you to think about is don't waste the extra money that you found. You don't want to put it towards anything that's not going to reinvest back into you. And the items that I gave you are things that can help you or can actually bring you more money, like the brokerage accounts and the high yield savings accounts. All of those are going to work for you. So hopefully you're already investing in some of these type of items that I called out. But if not, start with the first thing on the list, which is the emergency fund. That is the most important item. And then work your way down the list until you have all of these working for you. The goal is you want to make sure that you're working smarter, not harder, and you want your money to work for you.
Yeah, yeah, oh, 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 yeah, yeah, oh, oh, oh,